The Detroit Tigers have just dropped the biggest bombshell of the 2026 Major League Baseball season. They actually did it. They traded Tarik Skubal, the undeniable ace of their rotation, the face of their franchise, and the reigning American League Cy Young Award winner is officially a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. You heard that correctly. Just hours before the August 1st trade deadline, the Tigers front office looked at a generational pitching talent in his absolute prime and decided to pull the plug on the present to gamble everything on the unknown future. This is a move that has absolutely sent shockwaves through the Motor City and across the entire baseball landscape. Fans are outraged. The local sports talk radio stations are completely melting down right now. And honestly, if you have been watching this team every single night, you cannot blame them one single bit. Because when you look at what Tarik Skubal was doing on the mound this season, he was not just good. He was historically dominant. He was untouchable. We are talking about a guy who was the singular bright spot in a rotation that desperately needed a savior. And now he is packing his bags for Hollywood, leaving behind a fan base that is sick and tired of endless rebuilds. Just rewind the tape a few days back to July 29th at Comerica Park. It was a Wednesday night against the Baltimore Orioles, and the atmosphere was absolutely electric. The crowd of 34,406 screaming. Fans knew they were witnessing history. In the very first inning, Skubal stared down Orioles leadoff hitter Taylor Ward. He worked the count full, 3-2. The tension in the ballpark was palpable. And then Skubal unleashed a devastating changeup that completely froze Ward for a swinging strikeout. That was it. That was career strikeout number 1,000 for Tarik Skubal. The stadium erupted into a massive standing ovation as Skubal stepped off the mound and tipped his cap to the city that drafted and developed him. But here is the crazy part that proves just how elite he really is. Skubal reached that 1,000 strikeout milestone in just 857 career innings. He shattered the previous franchise record held by none other than Max Scherzer, who took 944 innings to reach the same mark. Skubal became the fastest pitcher in the rich storied history of the Detroit Tigers to strike out 1,000 batters. He was taking a shutout deep into the 7th inning that night, painting the corners and making a formidable Orioles lineup look completely foolish. Little did those fans know, they were likely watching his final masterpiece in a Tigers uniform. If you want to understand why the Dodgers were willing to empty out their farm system to get him, you just have to look under the hood at the Statcast data. The Tarik Skubal leaves Detroit with a brilliant 2.79 ERA and a win-loss record that does not even begin to tell the full story of his dominance. When you dive into the advanced sabermetrics, it gets even more ridiculous. Opposing hitters were managing a measly .269 expected weighted on base average against him. That XWOBA means that even when guys managed to make contact, they were doing absolutely zero damage. His pitch tunneling is a work of art. He sequences that high-velocity four-seam heater at the top of the zone perfectly with a breaking ball that just falls off the table. As a result, hitters were utterly paralyzed. Skubal held opposing batters to an incredibly low average exit velocity of just 87.5 miles per hour. That is pure weak contact. His hard hit rate sits at an elite 36.3%. And his barrel percentage, a laughable 7.5%. You simply cannot barrel up Tarik Skubal. He does not give you pitches to hit. He dictates the terms of every single at-bat. He is the ultimate alpha on the mound. And in a league where offensive numbers are constantly heavily scrutinized, having a pitcher who can consistently neutralize the best sluggers in the world is the ultimate cheat code. That is exactly what the Los Angeles Dodgers are buying for their playoff run. From the Los Angeles perspective, this trade makes all the sense in the world. The Dodgers are a massive market juggernaut with World Series or bust expectations every single year. They have been dealing with a decimated pitching staff. Injuries have ravaged their rotation, and they knew they could not enter October relying on duct tape and minor league call-ups to get through a playoff series. Andrew Friedman and the Dodgers front office looked at the market and identified Tarik Skubal as the ultimate difference maker. They know that in a short postseason series, having a true shutdown ace who can give you 7 dominant innings is the most valuable asset in the sport. So they paid the steep price. They shipped 3 highly touted minor league prospects over to Detroit to secure the final piece of their championship puzzle. Skubal now steps into a clubhouse filled with superstars, and he will immediately be tasked with leading that rotation in the brightest lights of October. For a guy who has spent his entire career pitching in a rebuilding environment in Detroit, this is a massive change of scenery. But given his elite makeup, his ice-cold demeanor, On the mound in his overpowering stuff, nobody expects him to flinch. The Dodgers just acquired the best pitcher in the American League, and they instantly became the terrifying team to beat in the National League. But let us pivot back to Detroit, because this is where the conversation gets incredibly complicated and frankly very painful. Why would the Tigers front office led by Scott Harris trade away a homegrown Cy Young winner in his prime? The harsh reality of baseball, economics, and roster timeline building is a bitter pill to swallow. The Tigers management looked at their current major league roster and realized that despite Skubal pitching out of his mind, they were still not true World Series contenders this year. They are hovering around the middle of the pack. They looked at Skubal and saw his peak trade value. He is under team control, he is pitching at a historic level, and pitching injuries across the league have driven the price of elite starters through the absolute roof. Harris made the cold, calculated, and utterly ruthless decision to cash in his biggest casino chip. By trading Skubal, the Tigers acquired 3 premium prospects from a Dodgers farm system that is famously deep and productive. The logic is that these 3 young players will eventually mature and align perfectly with the timeline of Riley Green Max, Clark, and Kevin McGonigal to create a sustainable championship window in 2 or 3 years. It is a massive gamble. You are trading a guaranteed superstar today for the statistical probability of a balanced, winning roster tomorrow. If those prospects bust, this trade will go down as an unforgivable disaster in Tigers history. But if they develop into core pieces, the front office will look like absolute geniuses who made the hard choice when nobody else had the guts to do it. For the loyal fans in Detroit, however, this logic offers absolutely zero comfort right now. This fan base has been through the ringer. They have endured years of painful, rebuilding seasons, hoping and praying for a light at the end of the tunnel. They watched Justin Verlander leave and win rings in Houston. They watched Max Scherzer leave and build a Hall of Fame legacy elsewhere. They watched David Price get shipped out of town. And now, just when they finally developed another homegrown ace, a guy they drafted and nurtured into the best pitcher on the planet, they have to watch him walk out the door too. It is a devastating cycle that makes fans question what the point of developing talent even is if you are just going to trade them away before you win a championship. Baseball is a business, yes. But for the people buying the tickets, buying the jerseys, and watching every single night, it is an emotional investment. And right now, that investment feels completely bankrupt. The pressure on the Tigers front office is now immense. They have officially pushed all their chips to the center of the table on this youth movement. There are no more excuses. The prospects they got back from Los Angeles must produce. The young guys currently in the majors must take the next step. So, I have to ask you, after watching this entire saga unfold, how are you feeling about the direction of this franchise right now? Do you think the front office made the brilliant long-term play by cashing in on Skubal? Or did they just make a catastrophic mistake by trading away a once-in-a-generation ace? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Comerica Deep Dive Detroit Tigers for more daily coverage.